too people overthink things. Like you can easily overthink, like, oh, what if I put up a video? What's this person going to think, or what are they going to say? But at the end of the day, if you want to do something, just fucking do it. Too many people are so fixated on what other people think about them. If I put up that video and some of my mates would have said, "Yo, what are you doing, you dickhead? Why are you putting up videos? Who do you think you are?" I would have told them to fuck off, because I'm sort of at the stage now where I'm like, if I do something, I'm gonna do it. And if people support me, then that's the people I want in my life. And if people don't support me, I'll cut them out completely, because I'm not. I used to be a real big people pleaser. You know, I never got in a fight. I never had any enemies, and I never got in any arguments. And like oh, everyone's like, oh fuck yeah, Casey's so easy going and all. But I almost feel like now, I'm not saying I want to go out and get in fights and get in arguments, but if I disagree with someone, I'm going to tell them that I disagree with them, because I'm not afraid to disagree with people now. I have my own opinion. And if I can help lots of people, help 99 people, and then one person disagrees with me, or one person doesn't like what I'm doing, I don't give a fuck anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that sort of way. So it was just, oh, I'm going to do a video. I'm going to keep doing the videos. Lots of people are going to like them. Some people might not like them, and I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
And like, you have to have that attitude of not giving a fuck. Like, and even if it's people, even if you lose friends, like it doesn't matter, because I feel like it's the same with me. Like if my friend, if I have all my true friends, they'll support what I'm doing no matter what. Like they'll be there for you, and
Exactly.
they want the best for you. So it kind of does show you who's your true friends and who isn't. You know, if they do support you fully, that's a true friend. But
Mm-hmm.
like I've actually never gotten like one negative message sent directly to me. Now people could be
Mm-hmm.
talking behind my back, like, or the same in your case,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
fuck them, like, you know what I mean? To put it bluntly, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Exactly.
we're not doing this, like, we're not even having this conversation for money. Like, we're doing this because it's our passion, it's our
Yeah.
purpose,
Literally. Like.
and we're trying to make a big impact. We're trying to reach more people. You know, we want more
Mm-hmm.
people to get into fitness, not from a selfish point of view of trying to make money, but even just see society as a whole improve. And so think of it
Mm-hmm.
as a picture. And you know, like you're certainly making a big impact with YouTube and TikTok, and those are sort of areas
Mm-hmm.
that I'm looking to lean into myself. I built a
Uh-huh.
good following on Instagram, and you know, things like TikTok, YouTube, they're the future of that, because it's all, you know, short, snappy videos to get people's attention these days. Like
Yeah. That's it.
Instagram with the reels and stuff like that. So it's how can you condense a lot of information in the reels, TikTok videos. I do like making long form videos. I think I'll always love doing that, but I recognize the value. You're very good at it with your TikToks, at just condensing
Mm-hmm.
information down and then, you know, dispensing it out.
Yeah, it's almost like so I'll get that really condensed information, the fundamentals of fitness. Like you need to be in a calorie deficit. Here's 3 easy ways that you can stick to that if you want to lose fat. But then I'll aim to target people. I'll aim to bring them to my Instagram, and then from my Instagram, aim to bring them to my YouTube and my podcast. So they'll learn about them. They'll get drawn in straight away. They'll be like, "Fuck, this guy is keeping it simple. He's keeping it real." But obviously, there's more that they need to know that I can't condense into a 60-second video.
Yeah,
Same once they follow me on Instagram, then they'll say, "Oh, I have a podcast," and then they'll spend half an hour listening to the podcast is doing really well recently, and like the amount of people that has messaged me saying fuck they've been listening to the podcast and really enjoying it, it means a lot, because definitely the TikTok and stuff, it's a good starting point. It's good to build a following. It's good to get snappy information out there straight away. But like I definitely feel long form content, they need to be listening to the long form, but the short snappy is just to get their attention, let them know some basic principles, and then they need to learn more in the longer form content. So it's important to have like a wide variety, but for the proper learning for the people that get really interested is done in the longer form, in the podcasts and the longer videos.
yeah,
That's what I found. I done a lot of my learning as well, and from podcasts, just learning from people who are in the position that I want to be on. Like as I said, the likes of Brian King, Jordan Syatt, James Smith, people like that who work their way up in the industry, and they've almost made all the mistakes. Like I've learned from so many mistakes that I never even had to make, because I listened to their content and listened to them. Like I'm only a year into really my personal training journey, and a lot of people think that they know everything in the world. There's fucking loads I don't know. Like there's a lot more that I don't know than what I do know. But I also know that I've learned from so many mistakes that I never had to made from listening to long form content, from listening to podcasts, and it's all at the touch of your fingers. It's fucking mad. Like it's there if you want it. Like, and the amount that I have actually took in from podcasts is mad. Like.
understand that. I've been listening to like sort of this. I first started listening to Joe Rogan because like that's nearly like the case with everyone.
The classic, yeah, the
Yeah,
classic.
yeah, actually, I didn't like listening to any podcasts and then listen to him. That's what got me into them. Then eventually diverged into people within the industry. I'm the same. Like I only qualified as a PT there back in June last year,
Mhm.
so I've always had like a base of knowledge, just personal training myself for 10 years, but took it to the professional level by getting my certification. But yeah, lad, like it's all there. It's all
Mhm.
so easily accessible for people. But the problem is in the industry, whenever you're somebody who's an absolute beginner and has never trained ever before, you don't know who the fuck to go to. Like you don't know who to trust.
Exactly.
Who do you don't know, like, oh, should I go to, should I listen to James Smith content or should I listen to, I see a thing put up there about V-Shred, like, people are so,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like,
Fuck face
people,
shed, lad.
like he's in alright shape, like, people think, fuck, he's in good shape, he must know what he's talking about, complete bullshit, you know that, you know,
Yeah, I think everyone's took his body type quiz like about 16 years old. He comes up in a YouTube ad, he's like, yo, you need your body type quiz, and you're like, that's exactly what I need. You spend like half an hour filling in, and then you're like, fuck this bullshit. Like
that whole, like, actomorph, endomorph shit, like,
yeah, yeah. Complete
uh,
bullshit.
nah, well, like, that's what I mean, like, if you have no working knowledge of fitness, like, you'll just be, like, very easily misled. And when I started training, like I'm 26, I started off when I was 16, and I was very
Hmm.
impressed. Like I made a hell of a lot of mistakes, like, and at the end of the day,
Hmm.
I don't regret them because like it made me the person I am today, and it puts me in a better position to relate to clients as well, especially like young people
Exactly.
who build muscle. I can relate to them a lot, and that's a key thing.
Hmm.
Um, but what I was going to ask you, Sean, was question coming to mind is for you, like what has been the biggest challenge since it can be professional and personal, but over say the past year, what's been the biggest challenge you faced personally or professionally?
I think from a perspective, like I was saying before, I was always quite a people pleaser. It comes from the biggest challenge was actually learning to say no to people. Like learning like, because they were used to every time they asked me to go out or something, every time they asked me to do something was just to say no. Like, listen, I still love you. You're still my mate, but I don't want to go out with you every weekend. I'm trying to do my own shit here. And like the first few times they're like, oh, come on, like then they stop asking you after a while and they respect you. And if they are your true mate, they will respect you. They'll respect the fact that you're trying to do something else. They respect the fact that you're still mates with them, you still crack away with them, but you're going to say no when they ask you to do something that you genuinely don't want to do. Like there's so many different situations throughout my life that I was put in, like places that I didn't want to that I didn't want to be, people that I didn't want to be with, just because I was afraid to say no, because I was always trying to fucking please everyone. So I think it was definitely like it was a big challenge just learning to say no. But now it comes easy to me. But I think about it this way: if you say no to one person, it opens the door to say yes to another person. If you're always taking on stuff that you don't want to take on, you're actually shutting off people that are important, tasks that are actually going to be important to you. And then from a professional level as well, obviously I'm only at the start, but it's just sort of learning that, like, the only really negative feedback that I've ever got is from other personal trainers who are never going to buy my service. So it's learning that the people are always going to have something to say. No matter what you say, they're always going to be able to pick apart something that you've said. If they try really hard, they'll be able to pick you apart. But it's learning that, like, you're going to come up against that, and it doesn't fucking matter. Like, at the end of the day, you're putting out content to help people. You're doing things to help people. So you shouldn't actually care what other people think. And I always did used to care a lot about what other people thought. And now it's like you're never going to stop caring. You're never going to stop thinking about it. But it's learning how to process. Like, because before I would have, oh, he's saying that about me, or he thinks that, and then I would have got annoyed. But then now I think about it, like, oh, he said that, right? What does that mean? That person said that to me. Does it make a difference to me? Are they ever going to buy my service? No. Are they ever going to be affected by my content? No, because they think I know better than me. Does it matter? Does it fuck? You know what I mean? It's just learn to process things differently. And it was a challenge at the start, but I think I'm coming to grips with it now, and it's just a way of life now, basically. Like,
100% lad. Just touching back what you said there, did you say another PT said something negative to you?
there's just no, it's not like there's PTs, like, so they'll follow you at the start, and then they'll unfollow you, and then they'll view all your stories. And then there's podcasts that I've put up and all, and then other people have tried to discredit podcasts. For example, a podcast on female fat loss that I put up, another PT tried to publicly discredit me for it and say that I was making sweeping statements in the podcast, but he clearly didn't listen to the podcast, because I was talking about the menstrual cycle, an area that a lot of people are afraid to talk about. And I made the point as well on 3 separate occasions that all women are different, and the advice that I was given was general, but they should track so they know for their own how to best deal with it. And then I was accused of making sweeping statements and stepping out of my professional boundaries, but it didn't really affect me, because it was like I literally got about 50-60 messages from women saying how much the podcast helped them, and then you get one negative feedback, and then you can let that eat away at you, and you can get annoyed, or you can say, fuck it, it literally doesn't matter. Like, look at all the positive feedback that I've got here. I know literally what I said in the podcast. I know that I told people that all women are different, and it was general advice. So like, I was happy enough. Like, it wasn't really going to affect me.
No, because at the end of the day, he's never going to like buy your service, like you said. Like so many PTs, like he's a perfect case example. Like so many PTs are concerned about what other PTs put out in their content, and like more than anything, they care about like, I need to look like smart and know my shit. Like,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
like produce content purely for the purpose of like trying to impress other PTs. Whenever like that's not the fucking point. Like you should be trying to impress potential clients or even just people who you're looking to make an impact on. But like that's hilarious. Like that's just it's each shit like that's just projecting. He's just projecting his own like insecurity or jealousy or envy at the fact that you actually had the balls to address that issue, which is a very important issue. I made a similar video, just it was an IGTV video addressing it. It was I kind of was inspired by James Smith because he put out a really good video on it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Something needs to be talked about, lad. Like, it can't be something that's swept under the carpet. Because if you're
definitely not. Like,
you're training females, like yourself, their strength varies depending on the menstrual cycle. And a lot of PTs might be fucking clued in on that. And they'll be thinking, fuck sake, Suzanne, why are you fucking like weaker here? Like,
yeah, like not even talking about it. Like, another point he said was it was stepping out of my professional boundaries to actually talk about the subject, and you should wait for a female to bring it to you. Like, you should wait for the female to talk to you about her menstrual cycle. Now, I have sisters myself, and my sisters literally said they're never going to feel comfortable going up to a PT and saying, oh, can we actually alter my training program around the menstrual cycle? You need to be open about it. You need to make content about it, so when women are coming to you, they know that we're going to openly talking about it. And with my female clients at the minute, they all listen to the podcast, and I said, listen, the podcast was good general advice. What I need you to do now is track your own cycle, so we know how to best tailor it to your individual needs, because every woman is different. But it's important to talk about it. And I'm so glad I made that podcast, because the amount of people that it impacted, the amount of women that came to me and said like they were wondering why they couldn't lift as heavy, they were getting disheartened, they wanted to give up, but now they realize it was because they were at the different phases of their cycle. And then the amount of women that were struggling with cravings, but now they know how they can, because they were trying to keep their calories same throughout the full month, but now they know they can add 200 or 300 calories on in the luteal phase and stuff like that. So yeah, it impacted a lot of people. So I was really happy with it. Like, and I'm still learning about it. Like, there's still lots that I know that I don't know about it, but I'm doing my best with the knowledge I have. And obviously that podcast impacted a lot of people. Like, so I was really happy with it.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I've brought it up with clients in person past, like, before lockdown. And I never, like, people can say, oh, it's awkward to bring that up. Like, but the way I go about it, like, it's just how you communicate it as well. It's not like I just say, I don't even ask them directly a lot of the time, are you from like, certain phase of the follicular phase? I just say, listen, sometimes you might come in here and your strength might dip depending on what part of the cycle, your menstrual cycle you're on. And I don't actually ask them, like, where are you like at the minute? Like, where you say that? Like, and you just say it that way. And sometimes like they'll not say, oh, I'm at this phase, but then like, geez, I didn't know that. Like, and like no coaches ever said that to me.
Yeah, because it's a taboo subject. People are scared to talk about it. People feel like that they're out of their comfort zone talking about it, and I had to step out of my comfort zone to talk about it, but it needs to be talked about, and women need to be treated differently, and they need to realize that sometimes they might not be as strong, or sometimes they might have more cravings, and they need to make adjustments for that, because obviously there is women that it might not affect at all, but at the same token there's women that it really badly affects, and if they're trying to stick to the same training and they're trying to stick to the same diet all the time, they're making it really hard for themselves. So I think that there needs to be a lot more education on it. It needs to be less of a taboo subject. It needs to be completely normalized. People need to stop being scared to talk about it, because it's so important. Like, and I'm still, as I said before, I'm still learning about it. I'm still constantly listening to podcasts, to different female coaches and stuff, listening to people who have actually worked with hundreds and hundreds of females,
Yeah.
to get their perspective and what they think. And like, yeah, it's a really interesting topic too. But I definitely think that if you want to be a good trainer, you need to look at these different things. You need to look deep into them, so you can see how to best serve your clients.
100%. I've seen it play out in the gym, like training girls. Like I've seen it firsthand, like see the wee dips in strength. But yeah, it's
Hmm.
things like that. Like there should be like things like that. There shouldn't be any stigma attached to it. Like if you go about it the right way, how you communicate to people, it should be something that's brought up, because it can mean the world of difference to a client, especially if you can tailor, like you said there earlier, the workout to whatever part they're on their cycle, and like tailor the
Hmm.
intensity or even the volume of the workout.
Yeah,
Because
literally.
yeah, exactly. Like if you try and like treat, because unlike men, like our hormones for the most part remain the same year in, year out. Do you know what I mean? We don't
Hmm.
really vary. Females is a completely different ballgame. There's a few, like obviously examples where that doesn't apply. Women with polycystic ovary syndrome, we
Hmm.
think that, but for the most part, most women do experience those up and downs. Like so,
Yeah.
with that, it's good that you're clear on that, because again, most coaches aren't.
I
So
know most people just ignore it, because it's not taught in your personal training course. A lot of people
yeah,
think that they can just go to get their PT qualification and then they know everything in the world, when that's not the case. You need to go and do your own learning after that. The PT qualification is very easy to get. I'll admit it's easy to get, and you need to take that qualification, and it just gives you the ability to go and coach people. But if you're not doing your own learning, constantly learning about the female body, learning about different strength protocols, how to program properly, like, you need to do your own learning after the
yeah,
qualification, and the learning never stops. Like, every morning I'll listen to a podcast or an audio book. I'm constantly reading books. I'm trying to expand my own knowledge, but over time and time and time again, I admit there's so much I don't know, but I'm doing the best with the knowledge that I have. And if anyone wants to try and discredit me for that, and if anyone wants to tear me down for admitting that I'm doing the best I have with the knowledge that I have, I don't give a fuck. Like, genuinely, not at all. You know what I mean?
brilliant. No, I couldn't agree more. Like that's it. Like the day you stop learning is the day you start growing. And like, there's a lot of PTs by that think, oh fuck, I've got the certification, I've arrived, I know it all. And like,
Hmm.
no, like you're not going to go forward with the industry if you adopt that mentality. You have to learn everything.
Exactly.
And it doesn't just apply to professionally. Like even like I've always been into personal development, but like certainly when it comes to your career, no matter what area it's in, you got to be learning every day. Like I even
Hmm.
say, if you start the day you stop learning, it's the day you die. Not literally, but
Hmm.
in a way, you know what I mean? Like it gives you a lot of purpose learning every single day. It'll be the
Yeah.
small things, reading a book, audiobook, podcast, whatever you say, whatever, whatever floats your boat.
Hmm.
I'm a big reader too. Like it's so important, especially within our industry. You have to keep learning, and
I
it's not
know.
always about going out and getting all these fucking certifications, like all these additional ones. There's a time and place for that, like, but you can learn from
Yeah.
just reading books. You know what I mean, or podcasts.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's good that you're, it's so important for personal growth. Um, another wee question one to ask you, Sean, would be, um, say what what three um what would be three key lessons, um life lessons that or golden rules, I would say, um that if you essentially were like on your deathbed, right, and you had to share these three golden rules, right, world before you
Hmm.
left, three golden
Yeah.
rules you know to be true, they can apply professionally or to your personal life. If you could leave the world with three golden rules to live your life by, what would they be?
The first one, I'd probably say, it's quite cliche, quite cringy even, but like, genuinely treat others how you want to be treated yourself. I'm a big believer that what you give out is exactly what you get back. Like, so you have the people who are always negative, they're always bitching and complaining about everything. If you try really hard, you'll be able to find something to bitch about and something to complain about. But if you really have positive energy, you give out to people, you help other people, you're going to get the same in return, and it just makes your quality of life so much better. So obviously, like, life can be shit sometimes and there's stuff that doesn't go your way, but if you're always treating other people well and showing them respect, giving them things that you would want done for you, like if they're going through a hard time, help them out, giving them stuff, like I'm a firm believer that's going to do the world of good in the long run. Like, too many people are in it for themselves, they're only thinking about the short term, and they don't want to help other people because they feel like, oh no, I need to sort my own shit out before I help other people. I'm a firm believer, yes, obviously you need to have your shit in order, but you can always help other people, you can always treat other people well, even if you have nothing to give, just giving them a smile, saying hello to a stranger as you pass them in the street, it can make the world a difference to their day. And I feel like in this day and age, so many people are they're showing to be nice to them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I like giving, as I said, giving someone a smile, you know, helping them out, giving them free advice. Treat others how you would like to be treated, because it was the start of my fitness journey when I was getting so much free advice from other people and listening to their podcasts. Now I just want to do the same for other people. So everything that you give out sort of comes back. And then sort of links into that, another golden rule would to be to hold ethics at the highest value. So like you need to be ethical. Like, anyone can build a fucking following by being unethical, and then they'll try and monetize that following by selling shitty weight loss drinks and ab stimulators and stuff like that. Always hold ethics at the highest value, no matter what you do, no matter how much money you get offered. Your ethics need to be what comes first, because money doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, especially when you build a big following and stuff, you've built trust with them people. So always hold ethics at the highest value. And then the last golden rule I'd say would be having your ladder up against the right wall. Now, what I mean by this is, so many people have their ladder up against the wrong wall. So they'll try and do things, they'll try and do a career that isn't right for them. So they're putting their ladder up against the wrong wall, and they'll climb to the top of that ladder. So they might do a career that they fucking hate, and they think, oh, once I get a promotion, I'll be happy. Once I get this, I'll be happy. And they keep climbing up that ladder, and they get to the top, and then they realize that they're up the wrong ladder. No matter how high you are up in the ladder of whatever stage you're at in life or whatever you're doing, it's not too late. Climb down the fucking ladder, put it up against the right wall. That's for me. Starting my personal training, starting making content, going from the party dude that everyone was keeping that happy, climbing up that ladder. Like, Casey's the fucking man. He'll come out in the drink. Climb down that ladder, put it up against the right wall, and now I'm at the bottom of this ladder, but I know that it's the right ladder that I need to be climbing. So always make sure what you're doing is what you actually want to be doing. That's me.
And love the answers, lad. Yeah, like that's so important. You see, I love that way analogy as well with the ladders. It's like, it's so many people like don't know what to do in life, or like you said, they're in a career that they hate. And if you genuinely like this is anybody listening to this, like if you're working a job that you genuinely hate, 100%, like I know this is gonna sound a bit like forward, but just fucking like make moves to get out of it. You know, start looking for
Literally,
jobs.
yeah.
I was like, you will get to the point in life where you're going to feel a lot of resentment and a lot of sense of like unfulfillment. At the end of it, what me and Sean do, like this is like we could, you know, it's so fucking cliche saying it's like a point PD said, but we could do this for free nearly. It's
Yeah.
just passionate. Like the money's just a byproduct, a nice, sorry, not a
Mm-hmm.
byproduct, but a nice bonus. At the end of the day, like there's
Yeah.
times like I'll be messaging clients and it's like fucking 12, it's like midnight, like or 1 a.m. And like I don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the end of
Yeah, no, not at all. That's never felt like work to me, especially I've only started online coaching and all. And like, to even do my weekly check-ins, you know, sending them voice notes and stuff, you know, it feels like what I was, even before I was doing it for free. Like when I first started, before I got my qualification, I was giving online coaching for free. It still doesn't feel like a job to me at all. Like it feels, it shouldn't feel like a job. If you're a personal trainer and you're dragging in, you're like, oh, fuck work today. That's not what it should feel like. It should feel like I'm able to help these people better themselves. I'm able to be be myself. And most of all, like the thing I like the most about it is you can be lighthearted. You don't have to pretend to be some like in an office setting. You know, people they're bouncing in their suits and they're trying to impress their manager, and they're just putting on a fake smile and being fake nice to people. And everyone's always fake to each other because they have how they have to act, how they have to be professionally in the workspace, and they have to act like that around their colleagues. And then once they go out to their mates, they're a completely different person. And obviously that's important that you do that if you want to do that job, because you need to act professional. But and the fact that I have my ladder up against the right wall, I can always act the same when I'm making content, when I'm on a podcast talking here like I am at the minute, when I'm with my clients or when I'm with my friends. I'm always the same person. I'm always lighthearted, and I'm always be able just to sit and have a bit of crack, like, and not take anything too seriously. That's what I love about it. Like,
People resonate with that. Like they'll see that like how genuine you're being, and then they're attracted to that. It's the same as when you produce
mm-hmm.
content, lad. Like, you can see it coming through. Like you don't like I've watched your videos and stuff like that, and now having the podcast, you don't really change, which is exactly what you want. Like
Yeah.
just be yourself. And like a lot, even some PTs fall in that trap a lot of trying to like be this persona or character. And
Mm-hmm.
like people like maybe not everybody falls for that, like, but some people like might see through that, and that will be disingenuous, and like you'll just alienate a lot of people. People like honestly, most people like people who are fucking down to earth. That's why I swear. Like
Mm-hmm.
people might think, why the fuck does he swear all the time? Like that's what's
Yeah.
been for me. I'm not putting
Yeah,
on like a fucking
it's the same as me. Like, it's
yeah.
literally, it's part of my language. Like, it's the way I
Yeah.
talk it. It's the way I talk to my mates. So like, why wouldn't I talk to other people like that? I'm not gonna try and be fake to impress people. Like, there might be right a few people that like don't like me, and they'll not watch my content because I swear, and then that'll turn away. But by the same token, there'll be loads of people that are really drawn to it because they fucking love swearing. Like, you know what I mean? It draws in the right people, and
Yeah.
it pushes away the wrong sort of people. Like,
Yeah. Exactly. It's like a good wee filter. Like. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
most people appreciate it because like they can tell like that's being genuine. Like whereas
Mhm.
like people aren't gonna like swear to try and put on an act. It's just like most people swear like so it's gonna
Yeah, yeah,
attract
literally.
most
Like,
people like and it's just something I've learned over time. Like just be yourself, especially in videos. Like have to give off that impression that you're being yourself and not trying to
yeah.
put on an act for people. Like but
Mhm.
I I suppose Sean, like I thought of this wee question there now. Like but if you could give any sort of advice, say to someone like who's starting off in the industry as a coach,
Mhm.
I know we're both quite green, we're both more or less
Yeah.
ourselves, like, but
Uh-huh.
you could give just a little bit of advice, say to, or even someone who's weighing it up, like somebody wants to get in the industry, what do you think would be the best piece of advice you could give them? Like,
If they're weighing it up, I would tell them to make sure they're getting it into it for the right reasons, and they're not, obsessed with this age of being an Instagram coach who can just bounce straight online and start making lots of money. If they're getting into it for the right reasons and they are genuine, I would say make sure you're being yourself. You know what I mean? No, no, you can't be someone else. I can't act like you, and you can't act like me. We can only be ourselves, and then we're going to attract the right sort of people for our own personalities. If you're always trying to put on a front for something, and you're always trying to almost wear a mask when you're making content and when you're training people, it's only going to come back to bite you, because people are going to realize that that's not actually how you are. And then sooner or later, they're going to find out, like, why are you acting like that in your content and you're not like that in real life? Or why are you acting like that when you're coaching me and you're not actually like that at all to other people? You need to be yourself all the time,
yeah,
and give off good vibes. Like, so don't get into it for the wrong reasons. And if you do get into it, be your fucking self. You can get inspiration from other people's content. You can watch other people and think, yo, that's really good, but never try and be them. Always put your own twist in things and just chill out and be yourself. Like, because people will see someone really successful, but you can't replicate that successful person. Like, you can't try and act exactly like them, or people are just going to catch on to it. And if it doesn't come naturally, like, there will be just wee bits that will come through and be like, what's this person doing? Like, why are they acting like that? So always be yourself over anything. Just be yourself.
lad. It's so important because you know what? I think there's a lot of people who jump in this industry and they think it's for them, and they think, oh, I could coach someone, even if they're in like pretty decent shape. Like I know for a fact there's people out there who are deep dive, like, even phenomenal shape.
Hmm.
They don't know how to coach someone. Like they
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Like they might be able to get someone else who's in relatively good shape, going from good to great. You know,
Hmm.
if they're already in good shape. But if fucking Murray Joe comes to you and
Yeah, man.
she's pretty stone overweight, lad, and she's pretty
Yeah.
diabetic, she has to get the weight
Uh,
off the bad, like, can you coach
uh-huh.
her? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
No.
you're probably the same as myself. Like I want to be confident being able to coach anyone, regardless of gender, regardless of age, regardless of their abilities. In the gym, even now, disabilities is a wee thing. Like I wouldn't say I'd be confident training someone with obviously maybe structural problems or injuries. It's going to got that's a wee bit more advanced, but out of my scope of practice. But even kids as well with strength and conditioning, like I've coached kids like minors as well when it comes to like just sweet boxing, that's kickboxing and doing it myself. So like you should be confident as a coach to take on most people. But if like again, there's be fellas, there'll be boys or girls who maybe find a niche. And fair enough, you find a niche, bodybuilding, whatever, fair enough. But you see, I think the future, this is just my opinion, but see the future of the industry is not being a specialist, but as being a generalist. If you want to make the biggest impact, sure, you got to reach the most people. You got to be a generalist. You can't be the bodybuilding guy. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, big time, big time.
right bodybuilding. You know
I
what I
can't
mean?
I can't imagine like obviously there's people that I coach that want to gain weight, there's people that want to lose weight. I can't imagine someone coming to me and I know that I can help them and say like, oh no, sorry, I only specialize in women over the age of 40. Like if I know I can help someone, I'm going to help them. I'm going to do my best to help as many people as possible because that's what it's all about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I see people with that niche, and if it works, I'm all part of you. But you're probably like me, like you want to make the biggest impact. You want to work with the most. That's the way to go about it. Like my love is powerlifting.
Yeah.
I feel like I've really
Yeah.
got into powerlifting and want to compete in powerlifting. But you know, I would maybe want to get to the point where I'm confident. If a young fella came to me and said, "Listen, lad, like I want to like just build muscle and maybe do bodybuilding in the future," and I'd be like, "Yeah, fuck it, we'll do it." I'll learn more about
Yeah. Yeah.
bodybuilding and I'll try and help you. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean I'm going to be fucking great at all these things. Like I probably will, specialize in a
Yeah,
few.
exactly.
But I want to know, have a good general base of knowledge on most areas so that I can sort of be confident addressing anybody that comes to me for a variety of things. I think that's the future of the industry anyway.
It's a
Um,
learning curve too. Like you learn off of every different client that comes to you. Like you always learn something different off them, and you'll be able to implement it into your next client. So I just take on as many as you can, help as many people as you can. Obviously, and you're not just taking on people for the sake of it when you don't have room. But if you have room, always take people on because you're always going to learn. You're always going to learn from them. Like,
yeah, I'm sure you've learned massively through
mm-hmm.
podcasts, right? Like it is a massive learning curve, like. But yeah, you just refine everything. You get better as a coach as well. The ability to build relationships with clients is so important. And I think that's something that's lacking with a lot of coaches. Don't know how to effectively build a relationship with their clients. I remember, do you know John Berardi, Precision Nutrition? Lad? Have you heard of them? Precision Nutrition, nah?
No, I haven't even met no.
No,
No, I think I've heard the name like, but I don't know. I'm not familiar with it.
they're like the leading nutrition company in the world. You know, you can do their coaching certifications. I'm doing the level one at the moment just to sort of like not to specialize in nutrition, but just to brush up even my own knowledge of nutrition.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, John Brody brought up a good point. He's the founder of the company, and he says there was one instance where a client got the perfect results that we were looking for from the get go, but they stopped the coaching and actually were dissatisfied with what the service they got, even though they literally achieved the results, like the actual tangible results they were looking. I don't know I can't remember what it was, but it was like losing weight, get down to a certain weight, and they were like they looked amazing. Apparently, like this, as he actually interviewed this person, asked him why were you left, dissatisfied with the service that we provided, like the coach who was coaching you. And the girl said, the coach just never developed a relationship with me. Great coach, like in terms of getting me results, but never actually developed a relationship with me. So I had to stop coaching.
Yeah.
It goes beyond
It's a
just like,
it's a point that's it's often overlooked, like the ability to actually, like if you're a personal trainer, you need to be developing relationships. You need to be having the crack and be able to give that person an individualized experience because obviously they're coming to you to get a result, but they don't want a robot. Like they want someone that's going to be able to they're going to remember. Oh, you were going out for your fucking friend's birthday. How'd that go? You know what I mean? And just actually connect with them on a personal level as well as developing them physically and mentally. Like
yeah,
there's so much that goes into it, and it's often overlooked. Like you can be the best coach in the world, you can know everything, but if you don't have the people skills and people aren't able to relate to you, and you don't have the ability to make people feel comfortable in your presence, you're not in the right industry then.
100%. It's so important. Like like if you don't have those people skills, like clients will. I'm not saying like you'll necessarily lose all your clients, but like people like I know for a fact that some clients come to me and they just love the chat, like they just love
Yeah,
me and
literally.
like I'm telling you about their day, like, and
Yeah,
I love that. Like, I fucking gent, you know, like I always say, like every single session, I said to everybody, like, how's your energy? You know, what's the crack? Any crack today? I
yeah,
mean, like we
yeah,
simple things like that. Even any coaches listening to this who don't apply that to their practice, start doing that. Start asking about your clients how they're getting on. Like, don't just bombard them with the information or like the actual coaching. You know, I love like when clients ask questions and all, but like even just getting to know them as a person, like you don't have to be
yeah.
fucking best
So
friends with them.
important.
Like, like you don't have to be best friends with them, but like just get to know your clients and
Hmm.
trust me, they will probably stay with you for a lot longer.
Yeah,
I'm a big believer in trying to get a client for life because if you go about it the right way, some people will be a client for life. You know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's a whole
Definitely.
that's a whole nother topic for another day, lad, talking about like, how do you make fitness not necessarily going to a coach, but how do you see there's blue oceans and there's red oceans. So I think there's a lot of people, Sean, that are not into fitness. Like there's a very like see when you take the population as a whole, there's a quite a significant portion of the population who have no interest in fitness. So for me, how do you
Yeah,
get those people in fitness? Like how do you get like a big blue ocean of people? How do you get them into the industry? And like
hmm,
it's something that sometimes racks my head, but it's something that it's just trying to make it more accessible. I think there's a lot of elitism in this industry, particular around
hmm.
certain things like CrossFit, things like that. People look at CrossFit and think, "Fuck me, how could I do that?" Do you know what I mean
Yeah,
look at shape of them? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I
and
know.
it's just trying to like bridge that gap between getting people who've never set foot in the gym to getting them into the industry.
Yeah,
And
that's the main thing I focus on as well. Like a lot of my content is literally aimed at people who have no idea at all about fitness. They have no idea where to start, and then my content's almost bringing them in. And so they're teaching them the fundamentals, teaching them the basics in literally the most simple way possible, like as simple as you can get it. And then once they come in, then obviously, as I said before, they'll come to my longer form content, and then they'll start implementing them things into their life and start seeing changes. And then they will start to enjoy fitness, and it will start to become part of their life, because I feel like a lot of people feel like it has to take over their lives. Like obviously for people like me and you, we want fitness to take over our lives because we enjoy it so much, but it's about being able to show people that if fitness isn't actually necessarily your passion and you don't want to make a career out of it or anything like that, you can be fit and healthy, but it can fit in with your life as well without having to take over. Because there's this big persona, and there's so many people like personal trainers like, oh, you need the fucking dedication and all. Like obviously you need dedication, but it's important to remember that people like that are going from nothing to something don't necessarily have the drive for that. And it's about showing them different ways to be able to make fitness fit in with their life. And then
yeah,
once they make it fit in, then they can start and plan more changes. But at the start, it's just showing you, right, you can make a few simple food swaps. You can start going for a daily walk, and then that's literally all you have to do at the start. And then you can reel them more and more into it. But if you say to them at the start, right, fucking what do you call it, get rid of all your mates, stop drinking alcohol, start doing 4 hit sessions a day, they're going to tell you to get fucked. Like,
yeah, exactly. It's just baby steps, trying to get people in.
mm,
And I think you do it
yeah,
very well. Actually, you make it very user friendly and accessible.
mm-hmm,
And I think it's something I might try and implement myself in my content because, like, yeah, it's how you get more people in that, like, who don't have any experience. Like, and for me,
yeah,
that's important to get more people involved, especially like with maybe some of the health problems society's facing at the moment. It's just want to see more people get in the industry, like
mm-hmm,
clients, man, coaches wise as well. Like this is the thing as well about our industry. There's no fucking industry standard. Like so, it's like the
yeah,
Wild West. Do you know what I mean? Like you can go and get you can buy it on Groupon or you can do a 4 week online coach.
yeah, literally, it's mad.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, and then you've got people maybe on the other side of the spectrum who have like PhDs in exercise science, and they know their shit. Like, and it's just who the fuck do people trust? Like, I feel for
Yeah,
clients, people who want to get into like personal training, and be coached. Like, who the fuck do you trust? Like, You
I
know what
know,
I mean?
and it's another thing as well. It's one thing saying people that do masters and PhDs know their shit, but a lot of them literally don't. Like you have that, what do you call that doctor? I can't even remember his name. He talks about fasting, but he tells people, he has the book called The Fasting Code, the Obesity Code, and he's telling people that if you fast, you're going to be able to cure your cancer,
Yeah,
and if you fast, you don't need to, what do you mean, track your calories or anything. You just need to fast to reduce your feeding. Like literally just lying to people.
yeah,
It'd be one thing if he was saying fasting is a good tool in order to create a calorie deficit, but he's literally telling people, oh no, oh yeah, just fast, oh yeah. And if you go on holiday, he said this, if you go on holiday and you're chilling out for a few days, you have a bit too much beers and stuff, just don't eat for 3 days. Because it's as simple as that. You're just not going to fucking eat for 3 days. So like there's so many people with different qualifications and stuff, and yes, qualifications are great, but there's a lot of people with PhDs and masters that don't have a fucking notion what they're talking about it, and they're
yeah,
making a lot of money off profiting people, off confusing people, because they're going from a pace of, oh, that person's qualified, they must know what they're talking about, when there's so many different people with qualifications that haven't a clue at the minute. Like,
yeah. I think you're talking about that by, is it Dr. Jason Fong?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
the one.
fucking fool. Like. No, but like, I've done fasting before. Like when I'm fasting, fast for 20 hours and have 4 hour eating window. And
Mhm.
there's at the end of the day, like see the science behind fasting, it's still very much like like in a sort of embryonic state.
Yeah,
Like there needs to be more research behind it. But even if it does have all the benefits that it's purported to have, like helping reduce cancer, like who the fuck's going to fast for 3 days? You know what I mean? That's
yeah,
very
no,
difficult.
exactly.
Even if it does have all those health benefits, like it's very difficult to fucking do that. Do you know what I mean? Like
I know,
even
like
though,
I fast, like I fast. When I'm trying to lose fat, I'll use intermittent fasting to help me reduce my feeding window. But
yeah,
I'm not going to go around and tell people that they need to do intermittent fasting, because at the
yeah,
end of the day, they need to eat in a calorie deficit. So for me, intermittent fasting could help me reduce my feeding window in order to cut back on my calories, and it's a really good tool. But for other people, intermittent fasting could lead them to binge eating because they're restricting themselves so much and they're not used to it. Their levels of ghrelin build up, their levels of leptin decrease, so they just start, once they start eating they can't stop. So fasting can be a tool used, and that's another thing that's important as well. When you completely commit to one subject, say for example fasting or low carb or something, you're just committed to that. But what you have to realize is different things work for different people. So it's about not saying, oh no, that's fucking stupid, like fasting's stupid altogether, because no,
yeah.
it's not stupid. It can work for some people, but
Uh,
as a coach, you need to identify what tools you give that person to work with, because different things work for different people. And that's why having an approach where you're open to absolutely everything and your evidence based, anything you say is backed up, is the best way to be. Like,
yeah. Hit the nail on the head there, perfect. Sean, like it's evidence based practice, and then don't be married to one thing. Like
mhm,
I use a variety of things when it comes to clients. Like I've used the ketogenic diet with clients, and it's worked phenomenal for someone. Like they love it, the energy they have on it, the mood they have on it, and obviously like the fat loss. But at the end of the day, the key driver behind it, like everything else, is a calorie deficit, and it will always
yeah,
be the same.
literally,
There's nothing inherently special about the ketogenic diet. Nothing inherently
mhm,
special about fasting. They're fucking tools at the end of the day, and when they're applied in the right manner, they can really make a difference. You know what I mean?
yeah, big
For
time.
someone who's anorexic or is eating disorders, you don't recommend intermittent fasting to them. Do you know what I
No,
mean?
definitely not. No.
People who are like, dogmatic and they're like, this is their thing, and they might even like be the fucking fasting guy or the keto guy, like they
Yeah,
obviously base their fucking like their products, their service, their brand on that particular thing. So anything else that is sort of contrary to that is going to be a challenge. So like they're going to
mhm,
be pretty dogmatic in defending like whatever it is. If they're going to die in their hill, their ideological hill, so to speak, to defend their
mhm.
fucking thing, like because it makes them money at the end of the day. But yeah, I'm the same as you. Like I have an open-minded approach in terms of implementing different tools and stuff like that. Same with cardio, like fasted cardio, that's a fucking tool. It's not magic. You know what I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like this magic bullet that's going to like red fat.
I know it's and you can twist it every way, any way you want, and tell people that don't know much about it. You're like, oh, if you do fasted cardio, you're going to use your fat stores because you don't have any glycogen or anything for energy. But if you actually, like, that's pretty convincing. And if someone told me that, I'd be like, fuck, you're using your fat stores. But then what they don't realize is if you use your fat stores while you're doing fasted cardio, you're going to use less in the next 24 hours. And if you eat before your cardio, then in the next 24 hours you're going to use more of your fat stores. So if your calories are equated, it doesn't matter whether you do your cardio fasted or fed. The amount of fat that you lose is still the same. You're just using different energy at different times. But it's easy to manipulate people and say, oh, when you do fasted cardio, you're using fat and you're not like, and that's why you're going to lose more fat, when it's just simply not true. But it's almost like white lies, like they're bending the truth. They're saying stuff that's technically true, but it literally makes no difference. And there's so much different areas in the industry, and people talk about so many different things. Um, to try and confuse people and basically bend the truth. Whereas what I'm trying to do and what you're trying to do as well is to give people the information that they need from an unbiased point of view, not taking one side. You look at everything from a neutral point of view, and then you say, right, this is what fasted cardio is. Should you do it? Well, do you like eating breakfast before you train? Yeah, you do. You don't do fasted cardio. You feel like full when you eat breakfast when you train. Well, then you should probably do fasted cardio. But in terms of fat loss, it doesn't make a fucking difference.
Yeah, because you can lose fat like not even doing any cardio with optimum nutrition, strength training. But yeah, it's just trying to give people the full picture rather than like people going for confirmation bias. Like, oh, here, like if I did say all these scientific terms, like it's gonna make me sound like I know my shit, like, and
Yeah.
like I can really paddle this off to people, like. But no, like it's just no bullshit. Like that's definitely like the approach I see with your content, Sean, and it's the same as myself.
Mhm.
Like I don't want to be married to any one training modality. Like it's just give people the most effective, efficient means of going about achieving their body composition goals or like any sort of fitness goal. That's the way to go about
Mhm.
it. Yeah, so we're coming towards the end of the podcast. So I thought I'd wrap things up by asking you a question. Final question I would ask everyone on the podcast. And the question I ask everyone, I'll ask you now, Sean, is what does it mean to you to live a life of endowment fitness?
I think it just means knowing that you literally you can't fail. The only time that you can fail is if you give up. I think in this day and age, too many people feel that they are failures. So once they have this sort of slip up or something negative happens, they hit the fuck it switch and then give up on their diet or give up on their new training routine. What it means to me is knowing that life happens, shit happens, negative stuff happens. You're going to fail, but when you fail, you need to rewire. You need to rewire that to your brain. It's not failure, it's feedback. Even if you're starting back from scratch, you're starting back with experience now from your failure. So I think it means to always keep going and just to show people that if you're trying to do stuff to do with fitness, it's not always going to go your way. But if you keep going, you literally can't fail. The only time that you'll ever fail is if you stop completely. Literally, that's it.
Right. Love it, man. Um, Before we wrap up things up, Sean, where can listeners find you? You've got a lot of outlets for social media, so
Yeah, they have a lot. Yeah,
what can I shout out
on
for?
Instagram it's SKC Fitness. It's that on TikTok too. If you use TikTok, and then the Sean Casey Fitness podcast and Sean Casey Fitness on YouTube.
Oh, brilliant. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. Like I said, I'll be linking all Sean's details, all his social medias, notes. So again, listeners and podcast now, thank you for listening, and that's an absolute being down with podcast. Thank you. Thanks, Sean.
Well, that was good.
Yeah, come on.
It's a good conversation. I enjoyed that.
It was, yeah. No, like
Good to get it.
no, it was like again, like I knew we'd have a great conversation. It flowed effortlessly. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's why I reached out to you. I'm sometimes like, do you know what I'll do, Sean? Like, if you catch my eye, like, when it comes to getting guests on, like, I'll watch your content for a while and then I'll think, right, he'd be perfect on the podcast. I mean, like, I can
Yeah.
always tell when someone, because like, I would, my worst fear sometimes in podcasts is I get somebody on and like, maybe due to nerves or something else, or maybe just due to not having the substance behind them, like, they don't really
Yeah.
like, hard to get a conversation out of them. But like
Uh-huh.
your shit, like at the end of the day, you speak well, like, and that's why I reached out to you. And I love the content as well. So like, I knew, I knew it would be like a great conversation, for sure.
Hmm.
And like,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely, it was great. Like, and
Mhm.
but